As Alex Crisp of We Got This covered shows, everyone has their own opinion on why Steven Spielberg is exiting the director's seat for Indiana Jones 5, which doesn't have a definitive title yet. But the famed director's own explanation is easy enough to accept, even if it sounds somewhat incomplete. In Spielberg's own words, he wants to pass Indy's whip to the next generation and let them put their own perspective in line when thinking about how to present him to the public. It's already been established how Harrison Ford feels about the character. He doesn't want anyone else playing him, but what that could mean for Indy in the coming movie has a lot of people thinking that this will be the last time we could see the famed archaeologist on screen. I hate to say this, well no I don't, but anyway, it might be time for Indiana to finally admit that he's getting a tad bit too old to go climbing around ancient ruins and discovering long-lost artifacts that are hidden within mazes guarded by traps that are devilishly clever most times. Has anyone ever really taken a look at the engineering skills that would have had to go into the making of some of these traps? Seriously, it's a belief that some of the ancients had a good deal of knowledge of mathematics and said skills that came from the study of the world around them. But from the Raiders of the Lost Ark to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there are some seriously next-level traps and designs that defy the imagination of those alive today, meaning that those who had less experience with processes that were still being built and perfected throughout the ages would have been at a serious disadvantage. Anyway though, moving on. We here at TVAverman don't doubt that Spielberg is relinquishing his director's seat to give the next generation a chance, but that's not the only reason. Keep in mind he's staying on as a producer, so he's not leaving entirely. But it sounds as though his heart isn't completely in it at this time, much as it wasn't for the last movie. That makes a huge difference when a director is less than 100% focused upon the movie and making it the best that they possibly can. If anyone remembers, and some people might try deluding themselves into thinking that they don't, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was kind of a flop in regards to the other movies, since even The Last Crusade was starting to show a slightly downward slide since it was relying on more star power and slightly less action as opposed to exposition in order to keep from losing people along the way. The two movies that came before, arguably the most popular of the bunch, were filled with action and only passing explanation of what was going on, and somehow people tended to enjoy this just a bit more since the movie tracked along at a pretty even pace and had enough laughs, thrills, and action to make it worthwhile and keep people watching. The last movie relied so heavily on giving Indy a defined background that it felt as though it was already saying goodbye to the character via a backstory that skipped about here and there without ever landing fully on one solid idea. He was a war hero. He and Marion had a falling out. He introduced her to the man that she would one day marry. He and Oxley stopped talking to each other, blah, blah, blah. Mutt being his son was less of a revelation than it was a moment for people to say, finally, we got it already.